the little know-it-all in your brain, don't tell me what to do, and, all these little voices. And they create such commotion. I mean, it's just like it's a mob scene sometimes, And the impartial observer is, there's a million different words you could use for it. The guardian angel, the voice of the soul, the voice of reason, and I don't mean the reason of the brain. We could even think of it as the eyes and ears of the heart. But there is a place within you where you know. We don't go out and get wisdom. What we're sort of doing is removing all the crud that is sitting on top of the wisdom. And in that place, the place of the voice is soft. It isn't up there at the round table, slinging hash across at the, whoever's sitting there in the mob scene. It's voice, the quiet voice. And it's like, honey, honey, listen. And you can access that. You can go out and you can do a meditation. You can turn it into, an animal, a rock, a crystal, some very other kind of apparition. But it's just a way to move your awareness outside of all the fearful yammering of the mob crowd, and to access that part of you that really does know, that really doesn't have a question about what you know. So, like I said, it's a study, it's a practice. I write about it a lot in the book, and a lot more, and a lot more detail, to help you get like some folks on your team that you have awareness of, that aren't the fear mongers.
I was I contemplated and procrastinated and all those things, all those aided things coming up to this interview. And then finally last week I grabbed the book. I've got my reading list is horrendous. And I grabbed the book, and to be honest, I was just going to kind of I was going to thumb through, and then I was going to read the second half. And I sat down and I read the first couple pages. About an hour later, I looked up at the clock and went, "Oh boy, this thing just actually hooked me." I was drawn in after the first couple of pages. The format that this is put out in. I love the Magical Theater, by the way. I want to go there.
Well, I love the Magical Theater too. I love the whole concept of it, and the title of the book, "Dreaming Down Heaven," I think is really telling, because the whole idea of dreaming down heaven is we don't have to wait till we die and hope that we get through a whole bunch of judgment stuff, that to have this experience of heaven, because it's the whole idea of you can absolutely bring heaven to earth, because you can, bring your love with you.
Yep.
You can bring all of these, kind things, if you will. And I don't mean insipid kind. I just mean doing the right thing. The real problem I had with saving the world was just exactly what I said. I hadn't saved myself. So therefore, I was going to be in reaction the entire time I was out there doing, my social change stuff, and I was going to be mad and angry and, and gosh, we change the world by changing ourselves, one person at a time.
That goes back to the verse in the Bible, before you pluck the speck out of your brother's eye, pull the log out of your own, or something like that.
Well, that's great, eh?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Oh, honey, I don't even know what I was saying. I was just, I love that he kept reading the book. The only really rotten interview I did was someone that just didn't want to read it, never even looked at it, and so they just had me basically sit there and read it, and it wasn't a rotten interview, but, I've been really tickled that, a lot of my interview folks have read it. Oh, actually, all of them have read it and loved it, and it's great, because I didn't write this book to become famous, to aggrandize myself. I wrote it to help people see what their choices are, to have fun, and so then if the radio folks love it, then that means we get to help more people.
Yep.
Get to spread the word, and gosh, that makes me very, very happy.
So okay, we do need to ask
Yes.
our patent question here for the Conscious TV show. We'd like to ask everybody what their definition of consciousness is and how it affects our world.
Well, let's see. Ramon, of course, told me he was going to ask me that, and I managed not to think up an answer. So, which is my preference. My preference would be just to sit here and tell you what comes into my mind, And I think of consciousness is that aware life force that is animating us. That the consciousness is the alignment. It's like if we say that we want to become conscious, it's like the aligning with the life force, the animation of ourselves. We could break it down and say another definition, of course, would be that which was great awareness. When I said that you get in there and you move the garbage that we've piled on top of the authentic self. The authentic self is born conscious, whole, without need for improvement, has a birthright of innate perfection. The consciousness is the voice of the impartial observer, or the thought form of the impartial observer. So I think that all of it, goes back to this delicious, almost unknowable quality that we each have that links us to the heart of the sacred, that animates the animal figure that we are occupying for the time being. Yay. And even, I don't have something like a nice little sentence for you. Those are my thoughts on it.
So, there's a lot of people are talking about creating your own reality and that sort of thing. I kind of see it a little bit with a little different twist to it. I don't see it so much as creating my own reality, but going with the flow of life and trusting that it brings into my life the things that will make me happy.
Yeah.
Well, honey, I think both things are true. Because if life is going to bring you what will make you happy, you have to also be so willing to be happy. Because the truth is, you can choose happiness no matter what life is bringing. And that choice of choosing happiness is the consciousness playing holds barred for you. It's like if I think of creating your own reality, if you create a reality that says fear will not be my guide, that acceptance will be my guide, or joy will be my guide, then you are going to get, life is absolutely going to give you things that will make you happy. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win the Publishers Clearinghouse,
Right.
I have it in my mind that if I look at it in my mind, Oprah should have me on her show because she should play Maya in the movie, Maya, the character from my book. And, and then everybody would read the book, and wouldn't that be fun? And we'll have a beach house and you all can come. And yet I also know that I can't say sure what should happen. That I can't have my happiness held captive to whether the beloved Oprah ever ends up hearing about Maya, Right. So I think both things are true. And my strong feeling about you, honey, is that you are absolutely doing that already. It's like your reality that you have created is already open to the infinite, to the magnificent. And so whether you have a perception of you're creating your own reality or not, the truth is you've taken big responsibility for your reality, and life is bringing you all sorts of things that are great because you see them that way.
I will have to agree with you.
Okay, good. Because I thought, gosh, I've just gone out on the limb here.
No. You hit that one pretty well on the head. So,
it's funny because I had a situation where I teach English here in Japan, and I walked into class, and my coworker was teaching a class, and they were talking about happiness. And the student, she suffers from depression, and she asked me, "Why are you always so happy? What makes you so happy?" So my coworker started saying, "Oh, because he has a lovely wife and he has a job and da da da." And I said, "No, that has nothing to do with it, because my wife can get up and leave tomorrow. I can lose my job, and I said I make myself happy. I decided a long time ago to make myself happy, and I realized this when I was 23, that I was out of work, and as soon as I did that, things just started moving along easier." And she just couldn't get the idea that you can actually make yourself happy, that it's not possessions or loved ones or other people that make you happy.
And so what she's done then, the reason she's depressed, is because she has placed her happiness at risk every time she's connected it to an event beyond her control. I really think we have to, it's just like whether we choose monogamy or polyamory for our love life, it's like that with happiness. We have to choose to have a monogamous, relationship with happiness. Happiness doesn't come and go away from us. We come and go away from it. Peace doesn't come and go. It's always right there. Happiness, the potential, the moment, the possibility of happiness is always right there. So it's a choice. But that woman, that beloved woman, doesn't realize she has a choice.
Oh, you have to hurry up and translate your book into Japanese then.
Well, you know what? I spent a year in Asia when I was in my 20s, and it was funny. I instead of going to Europe or doing, pardon me? Yes,
last year?
It was just recently.
Yes.
It's been a minute, darling. It's been a long minute. Anyway, I love Japan. The people there are, so interested in new thought, and it really pleases me, the idea that someday I would go to Japan, or someday, have the book. Perhaps there will be some folks that you can share the book with over there who knows what would happen. It's available on Kindle now, so enough people read English that it's available around the world on Kindle if someone doesn't want to wait for it, to show up from Amazon,
Yeah.
But I would love that. That would just make my heart sing. I went to Japan. The first time I went, I was 21 years old. I took myself to Japan. I had a long love affair.
So Ramon has a little bit different take on the people in Japan. What he's seen and experienced there. Everybody's so kind of the stuffed shirt is what he's experienced. But he's right there, right outside of Tokyo, right, Ramon?
Yeah. About 45 minutes from Tokyo on train.
Well, and of course, the culture is very, gosh, I want to say this without saying anything.
This is the way I'll put it.
It's formal. It's a formal culture.
Correct.
But those walls are breaking down like crazy. And to be able, I have Eric Pearl is a friend of mine. He wrote a book called The Reconnection, and his largest audience for this information. It's phenomenal healing frequency that they have really developed an extraordinary understanding of. He goes to Japan and the place goes crazy for this healing, and so I know that the paradigm, it's just like all these other paradigms. It's changing. It's like there isn't a place of that kind of structure or fear on the planet that isn't being challenged right now.